we know the 4 locks at quarterback. Who's your 5th?
Stafford. And then
there is a guy who just
CJ Stroud, Herbert.
There's a guy who just won the Super Bowl for the Eagles and went toe-to-toe with Mahomes a couple years ago.
I don't live in the moment.
Jalen Hurts is not your 5th?
No. I do. Some people live in the moment. I don't.
Did I hear you say CJ Stroud over Jalen Hurts?
If I had to start a franchise today.
You're taking Stroud over Hurts?
You do understand Hurts has the best O-line in a decade, the best receiving tandem, the best running back. I'd like to contextualize, and I love Hurts, but he has the best O-line maybe in 20 years. Kind of. Remember how good Dak was when he had the best O-line? It's amazing how it works.
So we're penalizing Hurts now. He's not top 5
it,
because he has a great offensive line?
I'm not penalizing. There's a bunch of great players in this league. There's 10 to 12 elite quarterbacks. He's one of them. But he's not better than Stafford. Today, come on. What are we doing?
Wait. He's like 10, 12 years younger than Stafford.
You're a lot younger than me. What's it matter?
He's...
Okay. Guys. We are going to get after this one. I saw this, and I was like, we got to get after this. We have to get after this because we are getting ridiculous now. I'm not even going to try to debate who's top 5 or whatever, because I don't even care about that. But the downplaying of what Jalen Hurts brings is insane. First off, I'm so happy that Colin Cowherd brought up Dak Prescott. Because he said, look how great Dak Prescott was with a great O-line. Did he go to multiple Super Bowls? Did he win a Super Bowl? Did he set records? Is he the only quarterback in NFL history to put up over 250 passing yards, over 70 rushing, passing touchdown, rushing touchdown? I think 75% completion percentage, whatever it was. Did he do that? Did he do that in a literal Super Bowl? Did he set the record for the highest EPA in Super Bowl history? What are we saying here? I can't even remember all the records and all the great things that Jalen Hurts has done because it's too hard to keep track at this point, especially when we're talking about at Super Bowl level. The man has been an absolute machine, and I've already made many videos just, listing them all off. And I just don't want to keep doing that again and again and again. I like to try to, create the arguments off of new information or just new arguments, not just saying the same thing again and again and again. I just don't want to do that personally. I don't want to show the same graphic, every 5 seconds. So what I want to really focus on is this whole O-line thing. Because first off, I watch all these clips. This is literally what I do, man. This is literally what I do. No one can even deny that because I literally do it in front of all of you, okay? So I literally do it. Nobody can take that away from me. You can take a lot of things away from me. You can't deny that I'm all up in these shows and watching and listening to the media, etc., etc. No one can deny that, okay? Throughout this season, people kept talking about how great the O-line was for the Bills and the Lions. Eagles were definitely talked about, but they kept saying that the O-line, that the best O-line in the NFL, I heard way more frequently about the Lions and the Bills. And now that the Eagles win the Super Bowl, that O-line is the best O-line in 20 years. First off, if that was true, why did so many people pick the Kansas City Chiefs to win? That's what I want to know then. If that O-line was so impenetrable, why did not every single person pick the Philadelphia Eagles to win the Super Bowl preseason? That's what I want to understand. And let's actually look at these numbers because I did. I love when people are all about the stats and the numbers because let's look at it. Hurts was pressured 0.4 times per dropback. Okay, so essentially 40% of his dropbacks, he experienced some pressure. Okay. Mahomes, 0.32. That's less. The lower the number, the less percentage of pressure you face per dropback. So you could have more overall pressures, but considering how your offense is run, you can have less pressure. You understand what I'm saying? But when you're asking your quarterback to drop back, what level of pressure are you experiencing? You know, what rate of pressure? So the higher the number, the more pressure. The lower number, the less pressure. So Jalen Hurts, 0.4. Mahomes, 0.32. CJ Stroud, the worst O-line in the NFL. Oh my gosh, 0.37. That's also less than Jalen Hurts. Caleb Williams, oh, his O-line was such a disaster. That's why he's been so bad, 0.35. Josh Allen, remember that O-line that everyone said was so amazing? 0.32. Lamar Jackson, 0.37. Sam Darnold, 0.38. So what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Now, this is ESPN's analytics where they have the pass block win rate and the run block win rate, okay? This is pretty binary, okay? Let me just read like their actual definition of this, okay? Our pass rush win rate metric tells us how often a pass rusher is able to beat his block within 2.5 seconds. Likewise, our pass block win rate metric conveys the rate a lineman can sustain their block for 2.5 seconds or longer. Okay? In a run stop win rate, defender can earn a win by doing any of the following: beating his blocker so he's in a better position to stop the runner, disrupting the pocket or running lane by pushing his blocker backward, containing the runner such that he must adjust his running lane, or recording a tackle within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. If a defender earns a run stop win, his blocker earns a loss, and vice versa. So what's interesting about this is because it's 2.5 seconds or longer. Okay, the rate a lineman can sustain their blocks for 2.5 seconds or longer. So now this kind of takes away, because sometimes, right, you can just hold on to the ball. If I could be back there, right, and if I hold the ball for 12 seconds, pressure is probably going to get to me eventually, right? So this is interesting because this is specifically 2.5 seconds or longer, 2.5 seconds or less, depending on, how you want to, from which angle you kind of want to look at it. So it's actually a pretty decent metric. And again, you guys know how I feel about stats. They always got to, be taken with a massive grain of salt. But here's the Eagles pass block. Let's see. Yeah, pass block and run block. The one on the left, the 6 and the 9. This is pass is the 67%. 72% is the run block win rate. So that means they were the 6th best and the 9th best. So the Minnesota Vikings actually had a better pass block win rate. Let's just look at pass block. Let's not even look at run block. They were ranked 6th. Who was better? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did they win a Super Bowl? Oh. Minnesota Vikings. Did they win a Super Bowl? Kansas City Chiefs. They were 8. So they actually had a 67%, and the Eagles had a 67%, which means that it was obviously like 67 point something. So right in range with the Kansas City Chiefs. Did the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl? I don't know. I forget. The Green Bay Packers. They were at 67%. Did they win the Super Bowl? The Denver Broncos. They were 1-1. Okay. They had the best O-line, apparently. 74%, 75%, 1-1, ranked 1-1. Did they win the Super Bowl? Buffalo Bills. That O-line pass block win rate. Better than Jalen Hurts is at 68%. Did they win the Super Bowl? No. You guys see what I'm doing here? Baltimore Ravens, 70%. Did they win the Super Bowl? No. No, they did not. So can we stop? No one's denying that this Philadelphia Eagles team was awesome. Nobody's denying that. Nobody's denying that. Let me say this again. Nobody's denying that. But this effort to downplay what Jalen Hurts brought to his team is just so insane at this point. It really, really is. Seriously. The Baltimore Ravens, okay, right here, the Baltimore Ravens clearly had a great O-line. They had an awesome run game. They have an awesome quarterback. Did they win the Super Bowl? Were they able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in 2023? Or did they put up a whopping 10 points? Their defense played great, held them to 17. What did Lamar Jackson and that offense do? And again, I'm not putting all the blame on Lamar Jackson. Now, I've defended Lamar Jackson. But I'm certainly not going to now take the opposite angle. And just because the Philadelphia Eagles did a better job to support their players and their quarterback to win means that they don't get any credit. I'm very consistent. I've praised the Kansas City Chiefs franchise as a whole for supporting Patrick Mahomes. And for Andy Reid being an unbelievable coach. And I'm on the record saying this so many different ways. That Patrick Mahomes is not Patrick Mahomes if he gets drafted anywhere else. If he gets drafted to the Buffalo Bills, he's essentially Josh Allen. And if Josh Allen gets drafted to the Kansas City Chiefs, he's, Patrick Mahomes. I really believe that. But what I'm not saying is that if you put Dak Prescott with the Kansas City Chiefs, that he's Patrick Mahomes. That if you put, I'm trying to think, Geno Smith, that he's Patrick Mahomes. And it's the same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles. So many people want to pretend that you can just put any quarterback in there and they just magically win. And it's just not true. It's just not true. I mean, look at PFF's rankings for pass block. Denver Broncos 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2, Green Bay Packers 3, Cardinals 4, Buffalo Bills 5, the Eagles 6. Ravens, right there, pretty much identical to the Eagles. Again, did any of those teams win? How about in 2022, when both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles met in the Super Bowl? Pass block win rate. Kansas City Chiefs are number 1. 75%. Where are the Eagles? 12. Now, it's weird. When the Kansas City Chiefs won that Super Bowl and Patrick Mahomes won that Super Bowl, did anyone talk about how amazing his O-line was? Did they say that he had the best O-line in 20 years or something? I don't recall that. I'm sorry, I don't recall that at all. And then the Eagles had a great run block win rate. And the Kansas City Chiefs were right there. 3. So they actually had a better line when you combine both passing and running than the Philadelphia Eagles in 22. And yet I don't see anyone talking about that. That's so weird. The Eagles this year, 67% pass block win rate. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs in 22, when they won the Super Bowl, had a 75%. 75. Which is, indeed, the highest number. Would have been the highest this year. Would have been better than the number 1 team in the Denver Broncos. That's pretty remarkable. Why did we not all just talk about how amazing that O-line was? Are we going to evolve as NFL fans and quarterback fans and just be like, you know what? It has nothing to do with the quarterback. It's all to do with the O-line. That once you're just a good enough quarterback, as long as you have plenty of time to throw the ball, you're just going to win. That it has nothing to do with anything else. You just need to coach an O-line and that the quarterback is actually like minimally important. Is that the way how we're going to start to have these conversations? Or only when we talk about Jalen Hurts? Like, that's what I want to know. Because before it was like, oh, well, they have the best run game. And it's like, okay, well, they had Miles Sanders. you know, in 22, and he still went to a Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley was non-existent in that Super Bowl for the most part. He was averaging, what, like 2 yards a carry or whatever it was, 25 carries. And like I've said a million times, and I've highlighted clips, like Greg Cosell will talk about this, they did not sell out to stop the run. The Kansas City Chiefs defense was just better. They beat the blocks. Okay? That's how they stopped Saquon. They didn't stack the box. They didn't, you know, sell out and leave the field wide open for Jalen Hurts. Like, that's not how that game went. That's not how that game went. Just again, it's just a fact. Like, you can't argue it. So can we stop downplaying what Jalen Hurts has done? It's just absurd. If you want to say that Jalen Hurts has benefited from a great team, yes, of course he has. Of course he has. So has Patrick Mahomes. So has Lamar Jackson. So has Josh Allen. And all to differing degrees. Honestly, the biggest beneficiary of a great structure, of a great team, of great coach staff is obviously Patrick Mahomes. And it's no wonder that he has the most Super Bowls right now. And Tom Brady as well, and it's no wonder that Tom Brady had the most Super Bowls. It's no wonder. But I'll tell you something that those quarterbacks did not do. They did not throw for 200 plus yards, rush for 70 yards, throw for multiple touchdown passes, rush for a touchdown, complete 75% of his passes, and average 10 plus yards per attempt and win the game. They did not set the record in EPA. They did not set the record for most points scored in the playoffs. They do not have multiple rushing records, multiple rushing touchdown records. They don't have all-time great statistics in Super Bowls if you want to compare it like to Dak Prescott with his O-line. They didn't even get to an NFC Championship game. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You know what's really funny to me? When Patrick Mahomes lost the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, people said that his O-line was awful. And then people in the media, like Colin, and understandably so, and rightfully so, said, this is how great Andy Reid is in the Kansas City Chiefs. They were able to fix that O-line in one offseason and make it great, make it elite, make it special. But then when the Kansas City Chiefs won, you don't hear about that great O-line. And then when the Kansas City Chiefs lose, it's back to blame the O-line. That's bizarre. That's bonkers. I'm all for having full conversations about how these players and how these teams are winning. But then let's have it with everyone. That's what I do. Let's have it with everyone. I'm not out here saying that Jalen Hurts proved to be the best quarterback in the history of the world, because there's statistics that show him to be the best quarterback in Super Bowl history. But I'm not out here arguing that. I'm saying this is what he's done, and so it shows what his potential is, what he's able to achieve. But like, I'm not out here. I mean, he's technically outplayed Patrick Mahomes. He's played better in Super Bowls than Patrick Mahomes. Not even just head to head, but just in general. Patrick Mahomes has never had the performance that Jalen Hurts has had in either of his Super Bowls. It's just a fact. It's not an opinion. It's just a literal, observable fact and statistical fact. Like, you can't even argue against it. But I'm not out here saying that Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes. Like, those conversations right now in this moment of time, they just don't really interest me. Which is why I'm not even getting hung up on the order of top 5. Is Jalen Hurts top 5? Because I don't even actually care right now. I really don't. Sometimes I'm in the mood for those conversations. Sometimes I'm not. Right now, I'm just not. I just don't care. Seriously. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, how could you put Joe Burrow ahead of Jalen Hurts? Like, I just don't care right now. And I understand why other people do. A lot of people are really interested into the lists and the rankings. I'm not personally. Again, at least in this moment of this video. But what I am interested in, like, the downplaying of someone's greatness or their success. Because again, we can always argue who's 1, who's 2, who's 3. That becomes a lot more subjective and oftentimes less objective. But it is objectively true and subjectively true and statistically true that Jalen Hurts played great and was a massive reason why this team went and won a Super Bowl. And we can't downplay that because you want to say, well, they had a great defense, a great O-line, and a great run game. It's just like Patrick Mahomes had a great defense and a great O-line, and he won a Super Bowl. And he actually played worse than Jalen Hurts did in multiple Super Bowls and still win. Here, Jalen Hurts plays unbelievably amazing in 2 Super Bowls, good enough to win 2 Super Bowls and 2 Super Bowl MVPs, but only comes away with 1. Like, imagine if Jalen Hurts actually won that other Super Bowl. So now let's just say he won 2 Super Bowls, so that would give Patrick Mahomes, I guess, 2 Super Bowls, right, as well. Yeah, because he has 3, so then that would make him 2. So it would be 2 and 2. I am so confident. Let me say this one more time. I am so confident that people would not say that Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes. There would be a lot less GOAT talk around Patrick Mahomes, but people would still say Patrick Mahomes is the number. They would still say that Jalen Hurts is just benefiting from his team. That's what they would say. I'm very confident in that. Very confident in that. Even though in that Super Bowl that Patrick Mahomes beat Philadelphia Eagles in, he threw for 182 yards. You know, the very thing that they always rip Jalen Hurts for doing in any type of game. Whereas Jalen Hurts threw for 304 yards and rushed for 70 yards. Just 6 yards less than the leading rusher for the Kansas City Chiefs. Weird how that works. He only threw 27 times, not as many, not 30 plus attempts, which they rip Jalen Hurts for doing in those games. He had to throw the ball 38 times. Weird. Also got 0 production from his run game. Weird. So I just want to know, like, why do we not talk about how supportive the team was for the Kansas City Chiefs wins, the big moments there? I just want to know about that. And yet we only want to talk about that for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Can someone please help me understand why? We know it can't be the one thing that everyone always loves to say and talk about when we're talking about quarterbacks. Especially when we're talking about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, or like Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, right? There's a clear line that people love to talk about. I don't. I'll leave it up to those random clowns. But here we have Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. A big variable that people love to talk about is not there. So then what is it? I don't have the answer. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? Jalen Hurts is just the luckiest quarterback in the history of the NFL. Honestly, man. It must be all that prayer. He's a man of God. God's got his back. Definitely. So he's just, I got to get up to date on my prayers, man. I got to ask Jalen Hurts, like, dude, what's your go-to prayer, man? I got to get the luck that you have, like, right away, please. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.